AI-generated colours on a screen. That's the Mr. Beast final form.
Wow.
Hello and welcome to the Abroad in Japan podcast. Probably the best way of learning about life in Japan without actually being in Japan. I'm your host, Chris Broad, and we're joined as always by England's top Japan enthusiast, Mr. Pete Donaldson. Pete, how the devil are you doing? What's going on?
I'm good, Chris. And as you know, Pete Donaldson here in Southend, Essex, is the ultimate consumer of tot on the internet. And I have discovered a new thing that I want more than life itself, more than my family, more than my dogs. I want this in my life, and I need it in my life.
Is it a bucket?
There's a Japanese game basically that, you know, like those kind of things you see at the carnival or see at the like test your strength machines where you punch something really hard. Like a sort of, I don't even know what you call them, but
punching bag.
They're in kebab shops in Newcastle. Of
course they are.
They're all over there. Like, I don't know what the rise of UFC or what. You see these punching machines in every slightly shitty town. I'm not saying Newcastle's a slightly shitty town, but in most shitty towns, you get them pretty much everywhere. Every shop, every facility, every sports club has a punching machine for absolute rotters to test their punching. Anyway. Apparently there's this game in Japan that I'm just learning about off Sora News 24, where it's basically that, but you flick. It's desktop based, it's small, and you flick as hard as you can to test your strength of your, I guess, forefinger or middle finger. And I really want one. It's a really cute, adorable little machine. I imagine they're very expensive.
Sounds like a great way to hurt your finger.
Yeah, it's called Decopin Buster, and you just flick it as hard as you can. But yeah, it's apparently they're quite hard to get hold of. But I very much would like it. Would help my Sabutio game, I think, if I had one of these things. Or I'm trying to think what I need my fingers for. Probably nothing important, I would say. So yeah, interesting.
Where do you find all this stuff?
This is Sora News, where we get a lot of our junk. We get a lot of our muck. Good old Sora News.
I still prefer their old name. They were like Rocket News 24 back in the day.
Did they change from Rocket News? Is that where Rocket News went? Oh, interesting. That was
you know what Sora means, right?
No, what does Sora mean?
Well, it just means like sky. Like Sky News.
Nice. Because
Rocket News.
Well, I think Rocket News in particular has been going since I think I was applying for Jet. Do you know what I mean? It's been going for such a long time. It's one of the few places you could sort of get any information specifically about Japan back in the day. So, yeah, because back then there wasn't even any translation, stuff on Google and things. Yeah.
Saw a post today about somebody, I think it was like a new person teaching in Japan. And they feel lonely, and they're based in Matsuyama, which is a place I love dearly, down in Ehime. And you see these posts a lot where it's like a Japan teacher or whatever teaching in Japan thread on Reddit, and it's like, I'm lonely. I just go outside and get stuck in. Talk to people, have fun with it, you know.
That's not what the younger generation do, though. People don't go outside. They get in touch with people online.
Too busy on their TikToks, isn't it?
Too busy on their TikToks.
Playing TikTok
out loud. Yeah.
They need to get out, talk to people. I never got lonely in my first year because I was just so busy studying Japanese, teaching, and running around like an idiot. It wasn't to my second year that I really got into the swing of things, but like, just embrace it. Embrace the magic.
It's a very tender time in your life, though. You're sort of usually about like 20, 21, and you're kind of figuring out who you want to be and the kind of person you're becoming, I suppose. And if you're not talking to anybody, you might go mad.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a bit of a loneliness epidemic, because there is already. But I suppose that kind of like just being in a foreign land, not quite knowing what's going on, but like enjoy it. You know, I think you'll look back on it with a bit of fondness. Be like, I know it's quite intense, it's quite crazy. But just go out and try and talk to people. That's my only advice. Although they're not listening to this, so I don't know why I'm directly addressing them. Who I should be directly addressing is Mr. Beast, because he's back in the news, doing silly things. Beastie. He released a new AI thumbnail generator that's mopped up all the thumbnails in the world.
Right.
For $80 a month, you can make AI-generated thumbnails on his website, View Stats, which isn't a very good website. I looked at it. There's a website all influencers use to see the metrics of your channel or other people's channels. It's called Social Blade, and it's pretty good.
Yes.
And View Stats is his one, and it's not as good, because I looked into it, and it's all the stats about abroad in Japan seem to be quite wrong. I don't know where they're getting the info from. But this AI thumbnail generator has caused a bit of an outcry on social media. Jacksepticeye lost his shit over it because I think his face was used in the ad to promote it. And just this week, I think YouTube reminded everyone that its brand new AI generation software, or Veo, it's called Veo 3, has mopped up all of YouTube, and that is why it is so much better than everyone else's AI generation tools. And now YouTube is also launching some sort of AI video generator tool for shorts, for YouTube Shorts.
Oh, that goes through your video and just slices it up and then pops
No.
it?
It's not like genuinely like a AI generated video, like a wholly AI generated video, nothing to do with you. It's like it's a new generation.
That's the dream for YouTube, isn't it? Just have no creators at all.
We don't need creators. It's genuinely, that's the way it's heading. I think one day we won't have creators. It'll just be a server farm in Kansas in a basement, and it's all done there.
All of like entertainment will just be distilled down from like to AI generated, and it won't even be AI. It'll just become distilled and homogenized to such a degree that there'll just be a procession of colors: green, red, yellow. Consume,
like 2001 Space Odyssey,
and we'll be sat in pods just looking at colors, going green, red, God. Yellow. Make a film out of that. AI a fucking film out of that, dickheads.
Yeah, boy. I will say, I think our age bracket, I'd like to think our age bracket is a bit immune to it. Because originally when AI videos came out a few weeks ago, I was like, wow, that's impressive, they could do that. And then I was like, wait a minute, this is shit. And then I got bored very quickly. But the question is, younger generations will be more susceptible to it, because they don't really care who's made what. They just want to see the funny thing on the screen. And I think the biggest video of like the other week, the biggest reel, the biggest short, was like a clip of a bear walking around fishing or something. And people are like, it's amazing, it's like a vlogger, but he's a bear. And that was like the biggest thing.
The good biblical vloggers,
and there was biblical vloggers. There was a guy being Moses, and
but you know, your generation of vloggers have only got themselves to blame because tastemakers like yourself have meant that there is a certain way. There's a certain authenticity to doing vlogging in a certain way, establishing shots, drone shot, establishing shot, cut, and then back to being down on the street and
just
stuff.
Prompt it, mate.
Yeah,
well, the drone shot. I'll prompt it. Drone shot over castle. Enter. Done.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess that. Like in that way, just because everyone's doing it the same way, that's why the algorithm, that's why the AI can actually perform its job. What you need is absolute fucking weirdos who are quite bad at it, bad at making stuff look good. They're the real auteurs. They're going to save us. People like me who can't do it properly. Yeah.
On my massive 5-hour drive back from Yamagata last week to bring the K car down to Tokyo, I listened to a podcast episode with Geoffrey Hinton, he's the godfather of AI, right? He's the one that discovered or sort of researched neural networks that has led to large language models like we've got now, LLMs. And he keeps being asked, like, what jobs are safe in the future from AI? And he's like, he just sort of pauses every moment and just goes, plumber. Be a plumber. AI can't take that job yet.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not the answer, Jeffrey. You can't make a fucking tool that's going to destroy the planet and be like, well, be a plumber. I feel bad for him because he's sort of this like British scientist who sounds very well spoken. There's always a white British scientist at the somewhere who's done something.
Somewhere, yeah.
And he's like, I had a simple idea to make an AI that would use like neural networks, and I toiled away in a room for 20 years. And then Google basically bought his company and worked out how to fully exploit his groundbreaking techniques. And his mentor, sorry, his not mentor, his protege was Ilya, one of the top people who went on to start OpenAI, and who ultimately left OpenAI because he wasn't happy with how things were going. But I don't know. People had like a rant like a week or two ago about this, didn't we? Or I did, about AI video stuff and AI in general. And I think a lot of people still don't appreciate how bad it's going to be for jobs and what it's going to do to the economy across the board. And I don't know whether to complain or make a video talking about it and talk about YouTube AI stuff. Is there any point even trying? You're all fucked. we should just sit in a chair and eat some
Look at
chicken.
the colours.
And just
Look at the colours
pretty
and
colour.
eat
The
some
final
chicken.
form of entertainment, isn't it?
Yeah,
Look at the
just
colours in circles.
Oh, what colour's going to be next? It's green. Oh, my goodness.
AI-generated colours on a screen. That's the Mr. Beast final form. But going back to Mr. Beast, I mean, he wasn't. He didn't come off overly well. I didn't see anybody defending him. And he's the most powerful YouTuber on the planet. He should be doing great things, and instead he's like, buy my AI-generated tool that gets rid of artists and make artists redundant. Yeah. No. Stop.
Well, you would think that if nobody, if anybody can get it right, who's got the resources? Mr. fucking Beast has got the resources to make this sort of product a success. But if he can't do it, I guess nobody can. So I think there's something in our souls that makes us have a little bit of a giggle when, really powerful, really well off kind of. Because bearing in mind that his sort of content has been algorithmic for the longest time, it is just A plus B and just check whether the YouTube algorithm likes it or not. He's just been gaming the system. He's not really been creating any content or interesting content for a very long time. He's just kind of what will the computer master like? Let's put that out.
Essentially, and I think it's leading to a whole generation of influencers who are sort of caught up in the end result, the click-through rate, the view count, the followers, the virality of it, rather than the actual creative process of making videos. Like, I'm working on a video now that should be out by the time this podcast comes out. It's about the worst thing that I've ever done, which was I won't spoil it, but it was horrific, and luckily I've got the video to show it.
Right.
And
pushed a boy in the river.
And it was Pete Donaldson coming to Japan.
He pushed a boy in the river.
And
it was a whole thing.
Just a 5-second video of me going, tossing a kid into the river.
Worst thing I've ever done.
Yeah. But there was the whole creative process of making a video is what I get excited about. Scripting, shooting, playing around, cinematography, drones, whatever. That's the fun bit. If I start to focus, and I have done, if I start to focus on, I need to get 1 million views, or it doesn't matter, 1 million views, or I'm rubbish, 2 million views. If I focus on that, I stop enjoying doing this. I lose motivation. I don't want to do it much longer, and it's sort of how you become the worst form of yourself. Like, what you focus on, what your end goal is, defines who you are ultimately and what you become. And I suspect his decision to focus solely on getting the most views is going to, it will be his downfall, corrupting him, and probably sap the fun out of a lot of things that he's doing. Saw a video where we went to Antarctica, and I was like, that's pretty epic. But if you talk to him about it, he'd be like, oh, I was busy. I was busy plugging my chocolate bars and talking to people on WhatsApp about the next shoot. It's kind of like, oh, fucking hell, man. Go and enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Have some fun, for crying out
loud.
Enjoy
it. I want to go to Antarctica, though. Roll around and see some penguins.
Roll around and see some penguins. There's a bar in Corby that has penguins. Do it there. Roll around. Get drunk.
I went to a bar with monkeys that give you beer once, and then in hindsight, I quickly removed the video because I was like, wait a minute. This is pretty sketchy. It's pretty exploitative. Oh, have you been to the Corby Penguin Bar?
I've been to the Corby Penguin Bar.
Part of the problem.
I mentioned it before, yeah. My mate's very not self-obsessed, but he's just a bit of a loudmouth.
My mate's a penguin.
He was so sort of like disinterested by where he was and more interested about the things he had to say about things. But he sat down and he hadn't noticed that there was like 3 or 4 penguins right behind him, like behind some glass, and we were like, oh. He was like, what's that smell? I was going, I don't know, mate. I don't know. It smells a bit fishy, doesn't it? Probably cooking some fish, aren't they? And I took a picture of him completely unaware that there were a couple of penguins frolicking behind him in a bar. I think it's called Bar Happy Feet. It's probably still there. Maybe not.
I've never heard of it. I will think about it. As long as the penguins are happy. We got a story this week from Becky from Dorset, who says, hello, Chris and Pete. I want to tell you a story about a very eccentric man my boyfriend and I met while in Naha, on Okinawa. We were in a kushikatsu place one night. It was kind of like deep-fried skewers, right? Enjoying many delicious deep-fried skewers, washed down with a few lemon sours. A man with a guitar then walked in and started speaking to us. He said he was a singer-songwriter from Okinawa, and he would sing us one of his songs for a minimum payment of 1,000 yen. Bargain. We certainly weren't sober at this point, so of course we agreed. He gave us a piece of paper which had a selection of song choices. Most were written in Japanese, but there were a couple with English titles, and as I scanned down the page, one song in particular caught my eye. It was called Maybe Malaria. It sounds like a doctor. Doctor, what's wrong with me? Maybe malaria. I told him this was the song that I wanted to hear, and he seemed a little bit shocked. He let out one single laugh, went quiet, and then started his performance. What followed were 3 of the most surreal and hilarious minutes of my life. Watching this guy playing guitar and sing a song about malaria, while the Japanese couple on the next table were squirming, clearly not appreciating the so-called music. It got even funnier when the Kushikatsu chef joined in, playing a weird percussion instrument, which I've now discovered is called a Vibraslap. Do you know what that is? It seems like
it sort of makes this noise.
What's it actually?
Vibraslap.
He finished singing, we gave him his money, and he told us he was going on tour in Japan in July 2026, and that we should definitely come along. Then off he went into the night, presumably to find some more drunk tourists to entertain. It makes me laugh every time I think back to that moment, and I often think to myself, what a song Maybe Malaria was. Thanks for the podcast. And all you do, Becky from Dorset with Maybe Malaria.
Amazing.
What the fuck?
I mean, I just like the fact that the barman, rather than just sort of saying, get out of my bar, stop trying to take money off drunkards, he just sort of went, oh, may as well get involved, get the old Vibraslap out.
Vibraslap? Is that? And that sounds like a fucking. What is that? What?
It's like it's a long bit of sort of slightly rigid wire that's got like a wood block on the bottom and like a wooden ball, and I think you hit the ball, and it goes.
Right.
I'm sure Vibraslap enthusiasts will be able to tell us.
Genuinely too scared to type that into Google.
Yeah,
I'm not looking that up.
Actually, yeah.
What a story there. Maybe, have you ever heard Maybe Malaria? This seems like a sort of song.
No, it sounds like it's the song that all the kids are getting old. There's a guy called. Is he Brendan? Because there's a Brendan Benson, isn't there? Who's quite popular. The guy who does fewer and fewer bits of music nowadays, and just mainly does gymnastics off his grand piano. But then there's. It's not Brendan Gleeson. He's an actor.
No,
there's a guy who's sort of gone viral on TikTok for doing one bit of his song in a car park in front of a lot of people, and the lyrics are, "You've been married in a year in the summer, kids on the way in 3," and he just basically nowadays kids only make music for like 10-second TikTok. Like they've got a hook that lasts for 10 seconds, and basically he busts out this song in a car park, and it's very effective. Got a great voice, got a great look. You know, he's decent. But you actually listen to that song when it's actually in the rest of the song. It's really incongruous. It comes out of nowhere. It elongates the song artificially, and I just think all this Malaria song needs is a lovely hook.
And a snare drum.
Getting malaria, recovering from malaria, who knows? Like, if you were going to write a song about malaria, what would you start with? What would be the main message?
Isn't malaria quite dangerous? That you just die, isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
I think who got malaria? Somebody got malaria. It was the singer Cheryl Cole. I don't think she
did
took
have
the meds.
it. Yeah.
I don't think she took the meds. You simply must take the meds.
Christ. Where do you get malaria? You don't get it in Japan, right? It's basically
no. I don't think it's a massive hotspot. I think if you're going into the jungles of wherever, you're probably at risk. But there's probably a bit of malaria kicking around, isn't there, in Japan somewhere?
I hope not.
A little bit floating around.
Better not be. There's already some nasty things here.
Most places you go to on holiday have a bit of malaria kicking around. I think I had to take anti-malarials in Malaysia. I think I did, which kind of worked.
God, really?
It's almost the same word. But I remember I had to do anti-malarials when I went to Africa a couple of times. I think I seem to recall that was quite big. But yeah, those bloody mosquitoes, they get everywhere.
Fuckers, absolute fuckers. Just like tourists, they also get everywhere, and that is why Japan is cracking down. Or making them pay more. Which leads us to this week's news story, a topic that a lot of people probably won't be happy about.
No.
Japan might start charging tourists more than locals. Here's why. Fill us in, Pete. What's going on?
They are seriously considering charging tourists more than locals at popular holiday spots.
Charge Pete Donaldson more.
Yeah, if you're going for a hot spring soak, museum entry, or a mountain hike, you may be paying more than the people who live there. Japan welcomed 36 million tourists in 2024, breaking records and putting serious pressure on its most famous destinations, especially Mount Fuji, which has become so overcrowded and littered with trash, has been nicknamed Trash Mountain by locals. And obviously, the government are trying to, get that number up to 60 million visitors by 2030, make a bit of cash that way. Communities are searching for ways to balance booming tourism with quality of life, and they've come up with a startlingly simple idea. Charge the foreigners more money. Hey. Hokuto Asano, first secretary of the Japanese embassy in Washington, said that it's a win-win. It makes sure that the Japanese people can also enjoy their own country. There's no national rule this is going to take place, but they are beginning to explore pricing splits. Ski resorts have tested higher lift pass prices for international tourists, and there may be a situation where museums, restaurants, and even ryokans could follow suit. And critics argue that it could feel discriminatory or alienating, especially for travellers who already pay for flights, hotels and taxes. But supporters say it's a fair way to protect Japan's natural and cultural landmarks without squeezing local residents. It happens in other parts of the world, obviously, but Bhutan and Egypt in our notes basically say that they do that quite a lot. Going to Japan, you feel so welcomed. And this makes me feel less welcomed, let's say.
Depends how it's implemented, really. I think if it's like Himeji Castle, which is going to boost their price, so the current admission fee is 1,000 yen, which is about $6, right? And for city residents, it's going to stay the same. But visitors, this isn't just foreigners, but visitors from outside the city have to pay 2,500 yen, which is about $16. So about 3 times the amount or so, right? I think that's a good example of it being implemented well. And I think places like Kyoto, which are simply overrun and I cannot handle the number of tourists, clearly, they should have they should increase the, accommodation tax for people going there to stay the nights in hotels, Airbnbs, whatever, right? That's the way to do it. I don't think... it's going to be awkward in certain restaurants if you go in and it's like residents this price, foreigners this price, and also as a resident of Japan myself, and one of many million people living here who aren't Japanese, does that mean I have to get my residence card out and be like, yeah, I'm a resident? It sort of gets a bit weird and awkward at that point. So I think focusing on, I get it though, I think focusing on the arrivals fee, like when you book a flight to Japan, I think it's built into that price that you're paying a certain amount of money to the Japanese government. Not much. And maybe they could increase that a little bit. Things like that is the way to do it.
Do you not sort of think that it's just... I don't know, man. Do you not think that it's just going to be applied in the same way they apply every sort of discriminatory situation in Japan? They're just going to look at you and go, you're not Japanese, Imagine if you're not white, because there's a lot of white people obviously are born in Japan. They're just going to use it to discriminate against people who aren't white, people who aren't Japanese, people who aren't. It's not going to be great, is it?
It's possible, but I've never really felt in 12 years being here that I've ever had any situations that sort of spring to mind where I feel like that per se, which is quite reassuring. I think somebody who's travelled to every prefecture at some point or another. I think, I think it's okay. But I really don't know how to implement this effectively. I think they're going to have to, just focus on targeted places, attractions, as opposed to restaurants. The problem is that the yen is, I haven't looked at the yen recently, but the yen is not great. Japan's economy is not great. And so people here have less disposable income than they used to in the 80s and 90s, I believe. So they're not going to be able to keep up with foreign tourists who can pay more money for things. So it does create the sort of 2 tiers of issues. And obviously countries like Egypt or whatever, which has a much lower cost of living, a much weaker economy and a much weaker currency, there's an absolute necessity there, right, I suppose. But I don't know, man. It's a tough one. I'm amazed the government is ploughing ahead with 60 million tourists when the country is already buckling and causing a lot of outcry over 30 million, right? I think the media... I haven't seen it as bad this year, but last year it was really bad. The media covered over tourism like every day, and it really got uncomfortable. I haven't seen it so much this year, but...
maybe people just... I mean, there was a massive sort of like explosion after the pandemic, and people were sort of, had those... You basically got 2 years of... Japan's only got themselves to blame for closing for such a long time. Do you know what I mean? Like, you couldn't get into the country.
It was a build-up,
that's 2 years of, like, people planning their dream trip to Japan, and you're all getting it all at once. And, for some people, they may not be absolute Japan perverts like me. Like, they won't want to go back. They're sort of going, right, I've done that, I'm going to go to somewhere else. I'm going to try other different interesting places. So, you never know. You never know. It might calm down a bit.
But, I mean, their numbers are high, but they're still pretty low by the standards of some of the big boys like France, which is 100 million people, to Japan's 35 million, or Spain, which is 93 million, or Turkey, which is 60 million. So, it's still quite low by the standards of other countries. Of course, it's that other countries like France, Spain, Italy have had time to adapt. And Japan, it really is going from 0 to 100 very fast in a very short space of time. But... hopefully they'll adapt to it. But it has felt like more pressure in recent times in that area. But we'll see what happens. We will see. We will see. But we'll be back in a moment, guys, with your stories, comments and questions over in the fax machine.
Wow.
And we're back with the fax machine. What do we got from our listeners this week, Mr. Dawson? Fill us in.
Casey has got in touch. Hi, Crustacean Pete and Crustacean Chris and Pontific Pete. I recently got my placement notifications for the 2025 JET programme. I will be living in Mino, a suburb 20 minutes out from downtown Osaka. My heart sings for you, Casey. I'll be spending 3 days in Shinjuku for orientation before going to Osaka. We'll be given nights off during those days to eat and explore Tokyo City. Do you have any recommendations for making the most out of that little time in Tokyo? It was through this podcast I learned about the JET program, so thank you for guiding me this way. Casey, you are going to be jet lagged to fuck, don't worry about it, man.
I still remember my first 3 days in Japan extremely well. I basically just ate crisps in a bed. I missed half the seminars because they were very boring. I got drunk, went to karaoke, went to a gay bar, stumbled around Shinjuku, especially Kabukicho. And they were like, don't go to Kabukicho, whatever you do, we don't want any trouble. And that's the first place I went, and so did everyone. If you tell people not to go somewhere, you've basically made them go there, so don't do that. I had to go to Lost Bar. It's a great little bar in Shibuya. Hop on the Yamanote line, go 2 or 3 stops, go to Lost Bar, have a Moscow mule and a cheese plate, job done. And enjoy it. Take some photos, remember it, because I remember mine extremely well, and it was some of the most exciting and scary days of my life. It was very weird to go from the UK, which was kind of like warm, to Japan in the middle of summer, which is about 4 times as hot, 10 times as humid, very overwhelming, and to stumble around Shinjuku, the most built-up place in the country. It's quite an experience. It's quite fun.
Yes, certainly.
Embrace it, and drink it all. John says, hello, Chris and Pete. We really love hunting over here in good old US of A. I know it might seem controversial, but I think the tradition of mankind's survival and how that brings us together is important and should be commemorated all over the world. There are some videos of Japanese hunting, particularly deer, and it's interesting to see the method that sustained people's lives for centuries. But due to Japan's strict hunting laws and gun laws, it's a rare thing for a lot of people to see. Would it be something you'd be interested in making a video on? Thank you for allowing us to learn about people from around the world. Truly priceless. All the best, John. I bet you loved Outdoor Boys, the YouTube channel that did outdoors. It was a really good channel, actually.
It was a channel I'd never heard of until it died. I feel like I've sort of gutted.
He was good. He went to Alaska and made a tent out of snow and then would sleep in it. It was quite cool. I think in this era of people wanting to escape everyday life, that was their outlet. I don't know, in terms of hunting in Japan, I don't really know. I know Ryotaro invited me to join the Matagi bear hunters in Akita a few times, and I didn't do it. I didn't want to make a video on it. They hunt the bears because to make sure the numbers don't get out of control, whatever, in that neck of the woods. But I don't know. I didn't want to cover it myself. Although it's fascinating. I think Quinlan from Go North Japan did do a video. There's a channel called Go North Japan. Really cool guy, Quinlan, American dude from Wisconsin. And he spends his time in the mountains of North Japan. And he followed a bear hunter. And it was a fascinating episode. So I'd encourage you to watch that. But I don't know if they do tours. I don't know.
You can. I think it's quite hard to. I don't think there's any. There's no archery hunting. I know that much. So you can hunt with. I mean, hunting with traps is a bit boring, isn't it? You can hunt with traps and nets and shotguns and rifles and stuff. But obviously, getting hold of those things are actually
hunting with
quite
Pete
difficult.
Dawson.
So I think you can.
I like my AR-15 rifle, an M60.
I think you can. From what I've read, you can sort of there is a hunting season, but it's only like I think it's November to February. I think so. You've depending on where you are, it's going to be quite cold. But there's a hunting. A lot of people go out there and hunt stuff, but it's mainly just birds and stuff, ducks and that.
Oh, on the subject of bears, somebody actually did get killed by a bear in Nagano.
Really?
I think yesterday, yeah. Somebody was attacked by a black bear and sadly lost their lives. So be careful. Those cheeky bears, as beautiful as they are, don't get too near one if you get the chance. And finally, Callum says, hello, Chris and Pete. I'll be moving to Japan from the UK to teach at an international school. What would you have on your checklist of things to bring with you? Anything you wish you'd bought when you moved here? Keep up the good work on the podcast. Thanks, Callum. An AR-15 and some Monster Munch.
Yeah.
No, I Monster Munch. I wish I brought Monster Munch.
Somebody gave me. It's not a very efficient snack, though, is it? 'Cause there's a lot of air in there, and they're massive. They're the biggest snack going.
Oh, that's so good. Somebody very kindly brought me some Monster Munch the other day in a 6-pack. I ate 5 packs in one day, and then my tongue was incinerated because it's like pickled onion. It's highly acidic, and my tongue was
aggressive.
numb.
Yeah, very aggressive snacks.
It's like sticking your tongue in some battery acid. You got to be careful. But bring Monster Munch. But there's now a British shop in Tokyo that does lots of British stuff. So I think you're good, to be honest, Callum, in a way that was once unimaginable. You can find British food in Tokyo. So keep up the good work. And good luck at the international school. Keep stories, comments, questions coming into Raw Japan Podcast at gmail.com or right away in the comments below. But for now, guys, have yourself a fantastic week. Check out the new video on Abroad Japan, the worst thing I've ever done, and enjoy that video. And we'll see you right back here to do it all over again on the Abroad Japan Podcast. Bye for now. Have yourselves a good one. Take care.
You're going to be using that AI-generated artwork?
Yes.
Yes.